Hey everyone, this is Dale Berkebile, and today I'm actually going to, let me see, I'm just trying to make sure, are we connected here? Okay. Anyhow, today I wanted to share a video with you where we're going to talk about how to change the world, how you can change the world, how we can change the world. My goal is to try and inspire you to take action, to get involved, to do something different. Any of you that have watched my videos, hey Lori, thanks for joining us, have probably seen me doing videos over the last couple days. I think today is day 10. And what I can tell you is, obviously there's no makeup, we're not looking beautiful today. It is just, this is what you get, and that's all you get, and that's all we need in this world. I am no guru or no expert. I just want to see change in the world, and I want to see more positivity, and I'm tired of all the negative bullshit that I see online and in person, and people complaining about politicians, this, that, and the other thing. So anyhow, let's get off of that. We're going to focus on positivity, and how we're going to do that. Well, let me tell you how I got here first, so you can understand what the heck I'm talking about and the action we're going to take to move forward. So over the last year and a half or so, I have been a big Bernie Sanders fan. I think he's awesome. I think he is the only politician that I can think of that truly stood up for the people, that had integrity, real integrity, and that I believe would have made real change. Now, as the mudslinging was going on in the presidential election, he always wanted to stick to the policy. This is what we're going to do. This is the problem. These are the solutions to those problems, and this is how I'm going to do it. And even though the people that interviewed him often tried to lead him down a path of mudslinging and negativity and all that, he did a great job of turning things back around and saying, this is, he just didn't answer that question. Anyhow, long story short, I got behind him, and he is someone that I felt like I could trust. In politicians, that's a huge statement because they're all a bunch of crooks, and lie, cheat, and steal is their motto in my world, my personal worldview. Anyhow, long story short, he lost. Okay, so at the end, what he did was he said, you know what, if you're not happy, get involved locally, okay, and make change. And I thought, well, first off, on his way out, he decided that he was going to go out with class. So he helped us decide that, hey, the movement isn't over, and you can keep doing, keep this thing moving forward. You can get involved, and you can be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. So I thought about that for a while, and I was like, wow, that's a great idea. But you know what? Look at me. Do I look like your average politician? Yeah, probably not. Do I want to be in politics? Yeah, probably not. So how can an everyday guy like me get involved and make change? And I thought about it for some time, and one of the things that I noticed was I saw quite a bit of hate and negativity on social media, on Facebook, in public, when people are talking about the politics and the election and whatever. And I decided that, you know what, I'm going to try this social experiment and see how things work. So what I did was I started joining conversations, political conversations and other conversations to say, I want to be a part of this, and I'm going to try and pick up where Bernie left off, fighting for the betterment of community, of society, of our country, of the world. What is good for all is right, not what is good for my people, whoever those people are. So I started joining these conversations on Facebook, and I tried to keep all the conversations respectful. I tried to add kindness and go in it from a loving perspective where, hey, I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to hear you, I'm going to give you feedback, and I'm going to call you on your bullshit. And that doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a whatever. It didn't matter who you were. I was going to call you on your shit if you were wrong, or you were negative, or you were pointing fingers, or you were calling names. All that stuff. Hey, Lisa, I'm glad you joined us today. And so because of that, it's interesting. So I did this for several months, and I've joined a lot of conversations, and I talked to a lot of people, and some people totally think that this positivity and trying to help others and trying to work for the betterment of everyone is total bullshit. And that's okay. We all have our own opinion. We can do whatever we want. However, what I noticed was slowly I was able to start influencing some of the people around me. So some of the people that had a negative attitude slowly started to change a little bit. They started to get a little more positive. They started to show a little more respect. And people were actually open to having a dialogue and a discussion about heated conversation in a respectful way, instead of just calling, you know what, you're an asshole, you don't know what you're talking about, my way is right, you should just shut up, that kind of attitude. And so it was interesting to me, and one of the things that happened was I started having people with different worldviews respond and say, you know what, I've been watching you for a while, and hey, you're doing something pretty interesting there, and actually, you're a pretty good guy. And it's always funny when you hear someone say that, you're a pretty good person. I'm like, really? You just now have seen that? Okay. But, it was partially because I was living it and putting it out in public that they saw that I was a good person. Hey, Jade, thanks for joining today. And so what happened was I continued to do what I was doing, and I realized that this was something that was starting to work. So by me changing my ideas and changing my philosophy and changing my beliefs and how I react and how I respond to people, allowed the conversation to completely change. And because of that, I thought that, wow, this social experiment of sorts that I created here is actually something that's starting to work. So I created a group, and the Facebook group is called Be the Change, and it's full caps. Do a search, join the group if you want. And once I started the group and I started inviting people, my goal was to expose people and inspire people to take this idea and run with it. So just like Bernie Sanders, my number one goal was, you know what, if we want change, we can't wait for politicians to make the change. We need to be the change. But in order for us to be the change, we need to get involved and we need to take action. And that could mean becoming a politician. It could mean getting involved in the community in different ways. But you know what, for me, my local was Facebook, because that's what I do for my clients. We do brand development as part of what we do and social media as part of what we do for our customers. And so I spent a lot of time there, and it was a platform for me to share my message and to influence others and to help others. And so I said, you know what, screw it. We're just going to run with this whole Facebook thing and see what we can do. I'm not sure how many members we have now. I think it's somewhere 120, 150, somewhere in that range maybe. But the goal is to influence and inspire others to take change. Now, what I found with myself is that I needed to be the change in order to influence and inspire others in that social experiment that I was doing on Facebook. I had to suck it up and not lash out at people and not spread hate and not call names and not point fingers and not blame people for their actions. I needed to say, I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure that I agree with it. And here is my solution and why I think that this is a better idea. But it has to be done in a respectful way, that people feel like you're not overpowering them or you're trying to say that they're wrong. You're just trying to have a dialogue, share some thoughts and different opinions, trying to grow that person and also take their input and grow yourself. So that being said, as this all played out, a funny thing happened. I had a book on my wish list called Change Your Thoughts and Change Your Life. It was probably on my wish list on audible.com. I listened to a lot of audiobooks for probably years. And I was flipping through that the other day because I was looking for a book, and I was like, wow, this is kind of in alignment with what I am doing. And I'm going to give it a listen. And I was like, wow, okay, so to some degree, I am sort of living the Tao, and got a better understanding of the Tao Te Ching, which I wasn't familiar with. But it's an ancient Chinese text about working on yourself. Hey, Renee, how are you? Glad you joined us. And so, I have a background in, I was brought up in church through my mother and very conservative. And then I gave up religion, organized religion, for many years as I went through college and went through my party phases and whatnot. But then I married someone that believed in religion, and so we got re-involved in religion. And the Disciples of Christ is the church or the denomination that we joined, which is great. They're very open-minded, and also open and affirming to all, which is kind of met with my beliefs. But with that, I felt like I wasn't able to make enough change. And so over the last 6 months or a year, I have been on this journey trying to figure out how can I make more change in my local community? How can I get involved and help people the way that I think religion wants people or guides people to make change? But I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to have a badge that says I'm a Christian, because I don't give a shit about all that stuff. However, I do find it important to find ways to implement these strategies. And my son just got up and live it, right? So don't talk about it, but live it. And anyhow, so I read this book. It really connected with me. And what I realized was, man, if we work on changing ourselves, there's a good chance we can change others around us and hopefully create this chain reaction of goodness, of kindness, of positivity going out in the world. And it's probably going to be very small at first, but I think of my sphere of influence on Facebook. I probably have 800 some connections. The people that I connect to probably have 300 connections or more. And so you can see if I have 800 and they all have, let's just say 100 connections, that's potentially touching, so 800 times, 100, what is that, 8,000 people? There's an opportunity to change, to make big change without doing a whole lot of just being involved. And thank you, Jade. Jade says, bless you. But without having to do a whole lot of effort other than working on yourself and being positive in your social posts, in your community, and so anyhow, that's what we're trying to do. So again, there is a Facebook group that I titled Be the Change. If you're interested, get involved there. And we're also going to do a book study on Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, which is based on the Tao Te Ching, which to me, as I read that, it felt like what Western religion that I grew up on tried to teach, but I'm not sure that everyone took the learning and applied it to their life. And so for me, it was ways for me to apply it to my life even more than, going to church on Sunday or, getting involved with the church in some way. It seemed like it's non-denominational and it's more focused on you than us. There's a lot of us versus them in religion, and, Baptists this and evangelicals this and that sort of thing. And so it's a us versus them sort of approach. And that's one of the things that I think really didn't work for me on social media. Everyone was, us are right, we the Republicans, or we the Democrats, or we the cops, or we the black community, or we the gay community, or whatever. It didn't matter. We were we were creating this divide, and I think that this election did nothing but fuel that. Well, my goal is to call bullshit on that and do everything that we can to unify our country, unify us as a country, unify us as a global community, because the world is getting smaller every day, and we need to be good to our local community, to our region, state, country, and the world. Anyhow, so that being said, so here's the thing. If you're interested, I am trying to create a book study, a group where we're going to talk about this book, where we're going to talk about the Tao Te Ching, and the URL for that webinar is going to be bit.ly / Be the Change webinar. So it's bit.ly / Be the Change webinar. No spaces, no hyphens, nothing, just spelled out. What I will tell you is I have no idea what this is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to have, it's going to have lots of mistakes. It's going to have lots of errors. I can promise you that. I don't know what it's going to play out like, but my goal is to create a group that's actually discussing and having this kind of conversation and this kind of dialogue to work on us being the change, and in doing so, hopefully by being the change, we're going to be able to make the change we want to see in the world. We're going to create a positive, loving, caring, kinder world instead of spreading hate and pointing fingers and blaming others. I think it's all bullshit. So anyhow, that's what I'm up to today, and this is video 10 of my 31-day challenge, so we're moving right along. But I thought I would share this. Again, we're not looking beautiful, we're not sounding beautiful, there's mistakes. There's going to be mistakes and errors in the program, so don't expect it to be perfect. We're just going to do what we can to work on ourselves and be the change we want to see in the world. So there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in today and for your comments, and have a great day. Take care.